All right, so now it's time to program some functionality into this because we want to make sure that every time we receive the broadcast that says the game has been started, we first need to make sure the program picks a random number that the player can go ahead and guess. So in order to do that, we need to have some sort of a way to create a random number and store it so we know what it is. Now, the way to do it is to come down here to variables, and a variable is essentially some sort of a storage for a number that could change, right? So a variable is called variable because it could vary over time, right? Because it could change, it could turn into anything you want. And what we're essentially going to do is we're going to set a variable, and then every time the program has been run, we're going to generate a new random number, and we're going to store it inside that variable. So we're going to pick this command, set variable, set my variable to, and of course, we don't want to just put a random number here because if I put a number like 12, for example, the problem with that is that every time we run the program, the number is going to be 12. So once someone plays this once all the way through, they already know what the number is, so they can't play it again. So we don't want to just set a number ourselves. We want to make sure we have some sort of a random generator that could generate a random number between 0 and 100 every single time. And every single time, it will be a new number. So we're just going to go over here to operators and use this one, pick random, right? And we're just going to take that and drop it into this bubble over here. As you see, it lights up and you just drop it there. And of course, we're guessing a number between 0 and 100, meaning that it's going to be a number from 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 99. Remember, 0 and 100 themselves are not in play because we're saying guess a number between 0 and 100, meaning not themselves. So we're just going to say pick random from 1 to 99, and we're just going to set my variable to that, right? Now, another important thing here is to make sure you hide your variable. Now, the reason why you want to set this hide variable is because sometimes this variable is going to pop up on the screen. Sometimes it won't, but sometimes by default it's going to be on. For example, if I click this click right here, you can see that it's showing my variable to 0. And if I, let's say, broadcast the game, it's going to set it to a random number, and it will say 83. And obviously, if we're playing this game, we don't want to see what the answer is up top, right? So it's very important that we actually go ahead and hide it. So this command is very important to say hide variable, and the name of the variable is my variable. And of course, you could rename this to anything you want. You could rename it to, let's say, the answer, for example. All right, so set the answer to a random number and hide the variable the answer so that we can't see it. All right, so after that, we're going to ask for a number between 0 and 100. And after that, we're going to program some functionality that will help the player approach their number as they guess. We're going to give them some feedback saying, hey, if the number is larger or smaller than what they're guessing. So just make sure that you have this programmed here, that we are actually setting the answer or whatever you want to call this variable to some random number from 1 to 99. And that we're actually hiding it, right? Just to make sure that it won't show up on the program by default, okay? As when I do this right here, it sets it to a random number and it doesn't show it, all right? So make sure you've got that, and we're going to continue in the next video with programming the rest of the game.